Adelaide's very similar to Geelong, and down where I live, it's on the beach. It's got good surf and good fishing, so I can't wait for it.
And so began 8 years of Patrick Dangerfield here in Adelaide. The boy from Moggs Creek had his first 3 All-Australian Blazers with the Crows and then switched allegiances in 2016. 5 All-Australians with the Cats. Still powerful just like that. And we saw a demonstration of that on Friday night.
When you think the shyness came out of him and he became confident, Gerald? That's my concern. My concern was he was just so shy and unassuming as a 7. He looked like he was hosting that damn cross there with Neil Craig.
He was due to be with us at the desk, but the Cats altered their training routine, and so he flies tomorrow. Patrick Dangerfield from Moggs Creek. Great to have you with us, Paddy.
James, thanks for having me.
Did you rehearse that line? Did Adelaide really end up like Geelong?
I tell you what, watching back that footage, I needed a different haircut for one, but I caught up with an old teammate, Michael Dowdy, a few weeks ago, actually, and we were chatting about the sort of infancy of when we first met, and he said, geez, you were confident, and I couldn't quite remember all of it, but he said a couple of things that sort of made me cringe.
No, I loved that cross. I think it was sensational, and it was... when we were all following footy, this kid, Patrick Dangerfield, was coming and he was emerging, and it became almost a given that you're going to end up in Adelaide. So what was it like? I mean, we've got a whole Adelaide crowd here at the magnificent Adelaide Oval. I mean, how important was it in your formative years too, because you're still growing into yourself?
Yeah, there's nothing like the first team that you play for. It's funny, on the captain's night where all the captains caught up together, I was chatting to Lachie Neale about this, because you learn so much about yourself. You know, he was leaving South Australia to go to the West, and I was leaving Victoria to go to South Australia, and you're experiencing things for the first time. You're getting homesick with, you know, the guys that you drafted with. We had 8 drafted that year, so there was big change in a really small period of time, and you sort of you build such strong connections that, you know, you mature together, you make some poor decisions together, and I had just a wonderful time. Looking forward to catching up with some friends and my old host family, who I consider like absolute family. So nothing but fond memories.
Did you go knowing you're always going to come back?
It's a funny one. I fell in love with the place, no doubt. But as your life progresses, things sort of change. And for me, it was stuff outside of footy as much as anything. And that was where the surf coast I just love. But there's certainly parts of me that still romanticize about, you know, the place that is Adelaide, and the club, the people that are so special. And it's still my favourite place to go and play footy. There's just something about it that is that's beautiful.
It has been a long time, though. Do you still return as the villain when you come on Thursday night? Do they still remember to give you a good hoot?
I feel like game day or during the match, yes. But then for the most part, when I see people outside of that footballing arena, Jared, everyone's pretty cordial. But I sort of get it. I think that's the beautiful part about sport, the passion that everyone has for it. And that's, if you're not wearing their colours, as a former coach once said, you know, if you're not with us, you're against us, and you'll be treated as such. And yeah, I sort of like that.
I think it was Greg Norman who said he was in awe of himself.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you in awe of yourself at the moment? The way you played on Friday night at age 53 or whatever it is, you're virtually playing centre, half forward, changing in the middle. I mean, that's not a 34-year-old's role, and you were the best player on the ground.
Look, it's nice to just play, to be honest, Gaz. The last couple of seasons I've been injured in rounds 2 or 3, and the continuity piece is such an important part. If you want to, one, I think, have an impact, but 2, physically feel like you're prepared for the cut and thrust of what's required to be at the top. You know, so that fire still burns, and that competitiveness is still there. And I think as we have younger players come in that really impact, it really does spur you on as an older player, and you've got to, you know, you try to remind the young whippersnappers that you've still got it.
Well, talk about motivation. You are the equal leader in the GVPs with
With
your
a Mustang,
3 votes.
to pull a big
The
boat
Ford
on it. I'm
Mustang.
sure it would down there at Moggs Creek.
I suspect Pat doesn't want for Fords, but that might be. So you have had those continuity issues. I was curious, do you ever come into a fresh season going, have I still got it? Have I still got it? And get that early sense?
Yeah, it's. I mean, so much of the game is played between your ears. You know, every single player on every list can play. But it's about maximising the talent that you've got. And sometimes you can doubt yourself, and that's most often, brought on by injury and the inconsistency. And then that little man in the back corner of your mind does start to, ask the question. But I think you've got to love the game. That's like really important as you get older. You've still got to enjoy turning up when it isn't always, roses. And for me, I genuinely love walking into the building every morning and seeing whether it's, our staff at the cafe or, it's, the staff in the media team, coaches behind the scenes, all of it, our PDMs. There's something so unique about a footy club. And when you're done, you're done. There's no going back. So it's about enjoying each moment. And I think that sort of breeds good form with it, I think.
It's great to hear, because I'm absolutely certain that not every current AFL player has got that level of joy about doing what they do, and that's just life. And so credit to the Geelong Footy Club for the environment that they put in place that allows players to do that. But Paddy, the thing that strikes me about the way you play your footy is it's the brutality, and that's this highest accolade. And there were times on Friday night Stephen May had you up against a boundary, and to play into your 30s at the same and not compromise on the brutality is the thing that strikes me the most. So body-wise, what are you doing, and how's it holding up so well and allowing you to play, it's in such a vicious, and I mean that in a positive way, manner?
Yeah, it's been interesting, guys. If I compare it to the previous pre-season, I did a huge amount of work, volume, high speed, all of it. And got to the start line where I was feeling good, and then round 2 I did my hammy, and it was like it just felt like all that work was for nothing, and then had interruptions ongoing after that. Whereas this pre-season, it's been really managed. Probably a month to go before the season started, I hadn't done a session over 8.5K, and that was just the realisation, or the good preparation from our staff around this is where you're at. This is what your body's telling us, it's what it's telling you, that you can't do as much as you once did, and that you'll build fitness throughout the season. It's not about getting to round 1 and feeling like, you're at the absolute peak of your game, but you'll build into it and you'll get better as the season goes on. And I've got, great confidence that is the case. So, I think a huge amount goes to our staff, and we've got some new ones in there that have just been terrific.
Looking forward to Thursday night, gather round underway in a big way.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's wonderful to, having spent a lot of time in Adelaide, it's great to showcase it to the rest of the country. And I think that's what South Australians are really proud about, because there's so many wonderful places to go and visit, and it's more than just gather around and more than just footy. And I think that's what this has been the vehicle to showcase all of the other great attractions that Adelaide and South Australia in particular has. So it's great to kick it off. It can be hard when you're playing at the back end of the week, because you find yourself so wound up early on because you're just fully immersed in footy, and you're trying to some degree, you're trying to remove yourself from that if you play later. So to kick it off, against the Crows, it'll be a packed house. It's going to be a cracker.
We'll see you here tomorrow. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, guys.
So we just, as he leaves us, just have a look what old Pat thought of young Pat.
Yeah,
we showed that at the start.
I remember rustling Craigie's hair that day, and the boy, Michael Dowdy, the other week told me about that, and geez, look out.
Excellent. Patrick Dangerfield sets us up for Thursday night.